Gentleman yields. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Landsman, for 5 minutes for his questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all for being here. This is a really important hearing. I think this hearing gets at, ultimately, in addition to solving a very complicated, very important problem, what side are we on? And I do believe that at the moment in the United States, we are facing one overwhelming issue, and that is the extreme concentration of wealth and power. And no place is that more true than in big tech. And the data centers are an example where these data centers are going up all over the country, particularly in rural communities. I have a Wilmington in my neck of the woods, and they're dealing with a data center right now. And think about this, the data center comes in, some construction jobs up front, at the beginning, use a ton of water, make a ton of noise. There are these legitimate pollution issues and the question about forever chemicals. But instead of tackling those things, what they get is they get land. I mean, we're talking about Amazon and these big tech companies. They get a bunch of land, and then these towns and townships that have no money, they got to give them tax cuts, tax breaks for the data centers to come in, so depleting their bank accounts. And it leaves communities frustrated, angry, poorer, sicker, and it's fueling what? It fuels higher utility bills for folks, less local money for towns and townships, the pollution. Now, these big tech companies get billions and billions of dollars. Those are the winners. The president can make memes. My staff does, And now, these communities may not be able to sue. We may not be able to take on these folks in court. So we got to pick a side. And Ms. Donovan, I'll give you the rest of my time. You pick the side of these communities. I'm going to pick the side of these communities. So if my colleagues want to join and say, okay, I'm going to pick the side of these communities, Amazon's going to be fine. The innovation's going to happen. Top 3, and some of this you'll repeat, but top 3 things we got to do to be with them, not the big tech companies. Top 3 things you want Congress to do.
I wasn't prepared for that. The top 3 things is end all exposures to PFAS. Make the actual polluters pay. We know the billion-dollar polluters. We're sitting here bickering over such inconsequential things, but we also need to know the health risks. Part of our human rights claim was the fact that I need to be able to go to my doctor and have a real authentic conversation with my doctor about the risks of our exposures. But we don't know all of those right now. I had to reschedule an urgent colonoscopy just to be here, and I don't know what's going to happen. But I also do my research, and I can't find a really strong link or a connection. We're never going to be able to fully, in a legal system, hold Chemours and DuPont accountable without being able to establish a human causal link to the exposures. And we have been fighting in my community for 7 years to try and get a large-scale human epidemiological study. That's what the power of the United States and Congress could do. You could start funding that research. You could pass legislation right now to get that going. And we could definitely hold these polluters accountable. You can stop the exposures by joining countries in the EU and starting to implement essential use bans. We can start talking about holding, the military, I just want to go back real quick to there because the DOD knew in the 90s that their AFFF was contaminated and was causing real harm, but they still chose to continue to use it and still chose to put service members at risk. And we know that there is a long history of the Department of Defense misusing our human soldiers and then not caring for them on the back end. So we need to make sure that there's really strong provisions to help DoD contaminated communities because of sovereign immunity for them. So I really appreciate that you gave me all this time. I'm sure I could put together a longer list, but I think there's a lot more that we could be doing right now than just trying to talk about or playing the not me game, the not me ghost.
Thank you so much.
Gentleman's time
I
is
yield back.